Hello, welcome to our virtual presentation called Be Our Guest. This presentation is by 3 teachers from the California School for the Deaf Riverside, and we're going to be demonstrating our virtual classroom and what it looks like. Let me introduce the 3 of us. The first educator is Tammy Bevell. Tammy is a skilled educator with over 20 years of experience. She has taught younger kids for most of that time. Next, we have Austin Carey. Austin is a first-year teacher at our school and is still earning his credential. Third, we have myself. Megan. I have over 10 years of experience teaching elementary school at various grade levels. Last March, we took the plunge into distance learning. And this, of course, was a new experience for us, one that we hadn't known before. The 3 of us had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time by looking on the internet, and specifically learning about Teams, which is the environment that our school uses for its virtual classroom. That is part of the Office 365 suite. Those first few weeks were quite difficult. There was a big learning curve for the 3 of us. We agreed that it would be nice if we could know what other teachers were doing in Teams and what was working for them. So, in that spirit, we are sharing with you the things that have worked for us. In this presentation, we will have 5 topics. First, we'll give you a tour of our digital classroom. We'll describe how everything is set up. Next, we'll talk about some features that Teams has that we really loved. Third, we'll see how we used Teams for our teaching team to work together. Fourth, we'll describe some of the frustrations that we had with the platform. And fifth, we'll share a few cool resources that you can take advantage of if you're working in this environment. Are you ready? Let's go. Our virtual classroom is through Teams, as I've already explained. When we started distance learning, we decided that we would become one big classroom in order to share support resources among the 3 of our teachers. On Sundays, we send out a blast to parents and students with a lesson plan for the week. I'm going to give you some examples of what the PowerPoint lesson plan looks like that we send out to parents and teachers. Here's an example of what our daily work schedule looks like in this weekly blast. Each day has its own slide, and each lesson has its own slide so you can see the assignments. These are matched to channels that I will show you later on. Those are essentially places that students can post their work. Here's a daily challenge, a daily gratitude, weekly spelling words that we ask students to practice. Here's a reading assignment with a link for students to view the story in American Sign Language. We have writing assignments for students. We ask them to do some writing each day and build upon that throughout the week. We also have daily reading assignments that are outside of the curriculum. We have math assignments. These often are accompanied by videos so that the students can support their learning of these concepts. So we have 6 work groups, and on a daily basis at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we have a shout-out experience. This is where the teachers make a short video to celebrate the hard work that the students have done during the day. Some teachers really play it up and goof around with different costumes and whatnot to celebrate our students. We'd like to emphasize an important difference in the way that you can access Teams on your devices. You can access it through a web-based version or through an app that you can download onto an iPad, as an example. You will see some features that work on the app that either don't work in the web version or work differently. So just something to keep in mind. Now that you have a sense of what our classroom is set up to look like, I'd like to talk about several useful features that have helped us in using Teams. We'll talk about channels, banners, tagging, chats, calls, and finally, files. The first really helpful tool are channels. Each team will automatically have a general channel. You, of course, can add more channels to fit your own needs. And as you can see here, we have added channels to match each of our daily assignments. So the daily challenge, the daily gratitude, math, writing, etc. This has helped us a lot. In the first 2 weeks, we didn't have these channels set up, and everyone put everything in the same channel, so it required a lot of scrolling, and it was pretty messy pretty quickly. It was easy to overlook some things that may have been posted there. The next feature we like to use are banners. These help draw attention to something in particular. You can put these in separate channels or in multiple channels or relate them to files. What we do is every morning we put a banner at the end of yesterday's work. And this allows people to access information either through the channels in the normal way or by looking at the banner to access the work from the previous day. Next is tagging. Tagging is also a nice way to call attention to something. This is like tagging that you may do on Instagram or Facebook, where you use the @ sign and then type somebody's name to tag a person. In Teams, you can also tag an entire group of people if you'd like. And this is a way to send them an alert to know that they need to look at something. So if there's a student who hasn't posted something because maybe they've forgotten about it, you can tag them and ask them to post or to tell them that the link that they posted was broken, as an example. Teams has a nice chat and call feature as well. The chat feature is sort of like texting with a student or a group of students. Now remember, our students are in the age range of 7 or 8, and while their English skills are not completely fluent, they are good enough to chat with brief messages like, "You've forgotten to do the reading assignment," or "Please call me." So this is a nice way for us to communicate with students and to help foster a sense of community. That was certainly one thing that we thought felt missing very quickly when we went to distance learning, was the lack of community. So we try to text each student every day. As I mentioned, Teams also has a call feature, which we feel is better than Zoom with small groups. That's because to use Zoom, you have to send a link out to the students that you would like to join. Whereas in Teams, you can initiate a call directly in the platform, and they can log into the call and communicate with you through video. This, like Zoom, is similar to in the sense that you can have multiple people on the call and you can screen share. There are some limitations in the iPad app where you can't do all of these things, and we understand that Microsoft is working on adding that feature soon in the app, but what that will look like and when that will come out is a mystery to us. If you're using Teams on a traditional computer, it works very nicely. You can also share files in Teams, either through the app or in the web-based version. If, for example, you put a banner and you include a file in that banner, it will automatically store the file in the Files section. You will see a General Files area, meaning that anyone can access those files and anyone can modify those files. So, not being locked might pose a problem. What we've done is we've created a file called Class Materials and locked that file so that students cannot modify any files in that folder, but would need to copy that file to their own folder in order to make changes. In the web-based version, you have to go through an extra step to access these file folders. You first click on Files at the top, and then there is a second step of clicking on the folder you want. We have pinned the Class Materials folder to the top so that students have easy access to it. The American School for the Deaf is proud to sponsor the National Deaf Education Conference, which has created the NDEC Signs and NDEC Engage series this year. During the pandemic, we need to be creative and thoughtful about how we reach our communities, and NDEC has done that for our instructors, administrators, and parents. Thank you. So we have benefited from using Teams, not only for chatting with the students, but also for our own collaboration. Tammy was in charge of getting resources for us, and she did that continually to make sure that our academic resources would be kept up. Austin and I created the PowerPoints so that we would share them with our students. Tammy was often well ahead of us, and Austin and I had to let her know that we weren't ready, but it was nice because she could share her work for future lessons in the folders that we could access later. This is much nicer than sharing files over email, where emails can easily get lost. In Teams, we can share them in folders and organize them in a way that makes sense for our work. It's almost like working together. It's also nice that you can work in parallel. If, for example, you are working on a PowerPoint file and your colleague is working at the same time, you can chat and say, hey, I need this, or hey, I need that link. And you can work together through the channel on the one document at the same time, which is a really nice feature of Teams. The chat feature is really nice for teams of teachers because it helps us create our own sense of community. Sort of like those recess conversations that we would normally have that we no longer have with distance learning. That sense of community is nice to maintain through informal conversations through the chat feature in Teams. And it keeps them all in one place. I'd like to discuss now a few things that we experienced that were slightly frustrating, or at least things that we thought we should warn you about and offer some tips. The first is parent communication. We'll also talk about chatting between students, etiquette, proper behavior for online learning, and ways to track students' work. As it pertains to parent communication, our teaching team decided that it would be important to keep communication with parents separate from the Teams channels. So we do not use the Teams chat feature to talk with parents. Instead, we use a separate parent communication app from the ways in which we talk with our students. This is the same app that we used previous to distance learning, and there are many apps available. The app that we use is Classroom Dojo, but there are other options on the market. Next, I'd like to talk about chatting between students, from one kid to another. Now, we did decide that it would add some sense of community to allow kids to talk with each other through the chat feature. But unfortunately, Teams does not allow us, the teachers, to look at those conversations and to monitor them. It's not like when we're in a classroom that we can move over to one side of the classroom and eavesdrop on a conversation. Unfortunately, in Teams, we can't do that. We can't eavesdrop, and we can't engage ourselves, if necessary, in these types of conversations. So it's really become incumbent on parents to monitor what it is that their children are doing in the chat feature on Teams. Next is etiquette. We created a short video that we sent out to students, reminding them how to behave properly online. In our process, we realized that it was important to discuss that again, and to remind them throughout the school year about proper etiquette in meetings. So this was regarding how to respond to friends in Teams, how to post appropriately, how to show their work, etc. And we reminded them of this throughout the online learning experience. The last tip is about tracking student work. I previously mentioned that our team did not use the assignments feature in Teams. That feature is available, and it can help to provide tracking of students' work through percentages, and if you feel comfortable using that, then I would recommend that you do. It's a very valuable tool for some teachers. You will see an Insights tab, an additional tab on the top of your dashboard, where you as teachers can see what progress students are making. Keep in mind that students can't see this. This is simply a dashboard for you as a teacher, and you can see their active hours, their assignments, and other important information. So if you decide to use the assignments feature, you will be provided this additional valuable information, and this may help you with adding to the information that you provide during IEPs or on report cards. By the time we got to the Teams platform, it felt like the students were already making their own progress, and we didn't want to add this feature to the mix and to have to teach parents about it. So we decided to hold off on using it in our own classroom. Lastly, I'd like to share some helpful resources that we have found that we feel have really benefited our use of Teams. Office 365 has some of its own tutorials to help you learn how to make the best of channels and other features in Teams, like banners. If you just do a simple search in YouTube, you may see that there are a number of videos there that could become a bit overwhelming. So we suggest using the Office 365 website directly and using their own tutorials. On their website, you'll see several playlists that you can go through that offer short videos. These will really be helpful to increasing your skills in using Teams. We'd like to give a special shout out to Mr. T's EdTech. We felt like this was really helpful. This was a series of videos that provide different tips for using Teams, and the creator of this channel was very responsive when we reached out directly. So we would suggest following this channel if you're interested in using Teams for your classroom. Thank you so much for watching our presentation. Thank you for taking the time to learn with us, and we hope that you've learned something new today. If you try something new with Teams, please let us know. We would love to find out what it is that you've learned and to expand our own skills. We'd like to add a special thank you to Renee Visco. Renee is our school's educational technology specialist, and they were very patient in working with us one-on-one to provide individual support and team support to the three of us. Renee provided us new tips from time to time and encouraged us to incorporate them in our teaching model. So thanks to Renee. Lastly, I just want to encourage you to stay healthy, stay safe, and whatever next year looks like, good luck.